Hi everyone. In today's live session, we are going to look at our we are going to resume working on our expense tracker application for those who are joining for the very first time. This expense tracker for those who have joined for the very first time, this expense tracker is something which we have been building using the Angular. And for those who have joined for the very first time, this expense tracker is something which we have been building using the Angular. And so what we are going to do here, that we are going to improvise this further. And previously, what we have done, we have created our app and the settings page have been created where we can connect with Google and then we can back up our data. And one more thing which we have created, like we can set up this app in terms of our PWA, where you can see, like if I can quickly show you. So you can see over here, this expense tracker icon is being visible. And this app, which itself is an Angular app, is working as a progressive web app. So let's just move forward and see what we are going to add today. So let me quickly go to the VS Code first. What else I need to do? Let me just open the expense tracker as well. You can see the live link over here with this. I can share it in the chat as well. So we are going to create some new prompt, and today what we are going to do, we are going to create and move it to electron. So let me just try to grab our prompts first. So we'll be creating the prompt first. And the reason is that we are going to use Claude code session. So we are going to initiate a new session. And for those who have joined for the very first time, so let me just paste the URL in the chat. me just so as this episode is going to be related to uh, like setting it up on Google Play Store. So like pushing, creating, or moving Angular app to Play Store. So I'm going to grab the prompt which we are going to use. So as we used to keep our orientation prompt, so let me just copy the orientation prompt or set up the orientation prompt. So this is going to be an orientation prompt. And I should have saved this file as MD file. .md. So this is the orientation prompt. Let me copy the others as well. So building the capacitor app. So let me bring the prompt for that as well. So let me just clear that up as well. What else? Then we need to run the app. So I'm just bringing that over here as well. So we are going to release it in the Play Store then. Let me just. So we are building our prompts first. And once we are done with building this, so we will be executing this in the Claude code, and then we'll be looking at the changes which are going to happen against that. So for those who have recently joined, let me just share my app quickly first, what we are building. So we have been building this expense tracker application where we are able to add certain expenses by voice and by scanning as well. And the dashboard is showing the whole Angular app is there. And we have then created a PWA app application, which is a sort of a you can see a shortcut using which you can just click and open the app. The same goes, I can open the same app in the mobile as well. So what we are doing as of now, we are trying to create certain prompts which we'll be using in Claude Code to move our app to the Play Store. So basically, we are moving our app to the Play Store using Capacitor. So let me just try running it and then see how it works. So what we are suggesting over here, that we are wrapping our Angular PWA as a native Cloud app with Capacitor, so we can publish to the Play Store. So read Claude.md, which we have already created, and our build setup. So we build to the docs folder for GitHub pages, as I already mentioned that we are deploying our application on the GitHub pages. So confirm you understand our output before we add Capacitor, because Capacitor needs to know where our build web app lives. So this is our prompt. So let me just try running it, and then I'll be quickly showcasing what changes it have brought. So let me just add this, because this is the prompt file which I have just created. Let me just so Claude have provided certain thing which we'll be looking at, and once we are done with that, then we'll be move forward with our next prompt. So what it's saying, how your build works today. So it have identified that what we are doing, we are using Angular version 21, and there is no output path in Angular JSON. So a plain ng build default to dist expense/browser. And then it have identified that there is a GitHub pages build, which is mentioned in the Claude.md. I have provided these commands within the Claude.md, which is being read by Claude code. So the Angular builds right to this folder, and again it's flattened up to this docs file. The reason is that because we need like because GitHub pages do require a flat doc. So final deployed web lives in this doc, and what else? There is certain other things which we have looked at in previous videos. There is a ng service worker and ng service worker dash worker JS file, and a manifest is being used. So the build needs to wrap the docs folder. So what's it saying? The Bell web app capacitor needs to wrap is this doc folder. And the one catch, you'll hit with capacitor flagging before we start. What it's saying, that this base is correct for GitHub pages but wrong for capacitor. So it might be requiring certain other base ref app. So a native web app serve assets from the app root over the HTTPS localhost capacitor scheme. So it expects this. So if capacitor wraps the GitHub pages as is, asset path will 404 inside the app. So what does it mean? We should not point capacitors to the same directory we deploy to GitHub pages. Two clean options: separate capacitor directory, build with this, no flattening, point to this or flatten. Similarly, keeps purely for GitHub pages recommended. Keep the two deployment targets independent. So I am personally preferring to go with this, and then it's suggesting reuse this but rebuild with this base before edge. So I would suggest to go with option one. So I will be providing the second prompt as well as suggesting the option one. So I'm saying that do pick the option one. And then I'm also providing another prompt. What's the prompt is: add capacitor to the project and walk me through what it installs and configures. Then what I'm saying, I want to understand the native project it creates, not just run commands. Point out capacitor config at our existing production build output so I can wrap the app we already built. So let me just try running this and see what happens. So now what is actually happening? This is asking me that what Angular application ID should capacitor use. So this became our permanent identity. So we can use com.wahab.expense tracker. So instead of that, I'm going to say com.c dot expense tracker. So let me just try submitting that. So I've provided a namespace which is going to be used, and it's going to ask me certain other commands which I'm going to allow. So you can see certain changes are being done. So within the package, it have included a capacitor Android and a capacitor core package. So you can see these two packages are going to get included both inside the package-json and package-log. So with this being done, let me just move forward. So you can see this capacitor.config.ts has been created. So it have created a config file, and let me just quickly see the exact location. So within the expense tracker, it have created that, and you can see a lot of Gradle builds and these type of things have been created because it might be requiring or going to use the actual Android. So I might be thinking that rather than creating a simple project for this, I might be forking or creating a different directory out of it. So let me just check. I need to double check one thing. So let me just check the branch and see on which branch I am. Then I would prefer to keep it over there. So let me just quickly see. Capacitor have been like initialized, and what else it have done. So Angular project is kept folded, and what else? So now you can see as we are trying to move our app to the Play Store. So Capacitor is installed in the Android, and the Android native project exists. So what's the full walkthrough? So let's just quickly see what got installed. So basically using npm, what it have added a capacitor core and a capacitor Android and a capacitor CLI. So with this being there, let's just quickly see what all these all are going to do. So the runtime bridge that runs inside the app and exposes native AI to your web code. So this is basically the core one. The Android platform package, the native template lives here, and the CLI, the npx cap dash commands. So all the dev dependencies are going to be used by this. So then comes what got configured. So you can see it have created a capacitor.config.ts at the project root. So the single source of truth. What does it mean? Basically, it's going to have the app ID, which I have just created. Then the app name, which is the expense tracker, and the web directory is basically the dist expense tracker in the browser. And what this web app is exactly, so what you have asked for, like it points at the default ng build output, so which we are already producing. So let's see how it's going to move forward. The native Android project, this is a real standalone Gradle Android Studio project. So the part that matters, you can see that a Java class have been created. So one thing I might be asking it to use latest Android practices and make sure to use Kotlin instead of Java. So let's see what it does, because the most recent like happenings within Angular or sorry Android is that Kotlin is the modern default for Android. So I should have asked it, and let me just rectify my the add capacity the program, walk me through it when it installs. So let me add it over here. Make sure to use latest best practices and do use Kotlin instead of Java. So one thing you can see, like if I haven't created a proper prompt, so it might steer into some other direction. So it's asking me to install. So I'm just allowing it. So let me just view. It's asking me to install. So Gradle for Java. So let me just try installing it. And what else? So as I've explicitly asked it to change to use Kotlin, so let me just go a bit above and see what it changed. So I'll be focusing on this, and then if need be, we'll go to the previous thing. So what I changed, it says like Kotlin plus modern toolchain. So what it's added the Kotlin Gradle plugin to the build script class and Kotlin 2 and compatible with the template. And the build Gradle applied Kotlin Android and set source compatibility to Java to UN plus. And Java is what Capacitor 8 requires for this build. So this is something it's doing on its own. And so the whole module now targets one modern JVM level. Now comes the main activity, replaced Java with automatic Kotlin. So you can see now a Kotlin file or KT file might be there. So let me just quickly see if any such Kotlin file do exist or not. Okay, TS file do exist. What else? There is still some, okay, you can say the main activity is become that main activity.kt. So with this being done, let me just move forward. The Java file is deleted, so it's good to see that it's working as what we need to do. And the template was already on current Android. So again, so verification, I couldn't compile it here. So the reason is that over here, we do not have a JDK as we are trying to move our Angular app to this Android app, which we are going to host on the Play Store. So it is not able to locate any JDK and no Android JDK. So let me just try. So I verify the change by inspecting, but cannot run a Gradle build to prove they compile. So what's going to happen? The Kotlin conversation stable. Let Android Studio build its own engine and builds the SDK. So Gradle syncs there is the true test. First sync will download the Kotlin plugin and resolve. So let's see what it's asking us to do. I deliberately kept the Groovy apply plugin style. So the capacitor template uses. So instead of Groovy, let's see, let's just ask it, make sure to use latest build using Gradle instead of Groovy. So you can see, like I have explicitly mentioned, this is something which is way more good when we are using any like AI assisted tool. So I am steering it to use Groovy. So rather than using got it, you want the Gradle Kotlin DSL. So this is something which I want because I don't want the Groovy to be used. That's the model Gradle. So I might need to update this plot.md. And before I rewrite this Kotlin, let me see what capacitor mode generates Groovy file reference especially. So there could be some possibility that it contradict with this Groovy style or like Kotlin DSL. So let's see how it brings up. So it's taking a while. So let's see how it is running. It's taking a while. So let me just wait for a while and see what actually happens. It's taking a while. So it's saying something that this is the big one, like translating the entire owned. So it's still taking some time. So I'm not going into that detail as of now. So it have changed, have written certain things. So now let's see what I converted to Gradle Kotlin DSL. So the four build files we own are now Gradle.kts. So basically it's Kotlin based. The Ruby originals are deleted. So you can see previously it was using Ruby. Now it's using the Kotlin DSL. And what key modernization in Gradle.kts it have done, like plugins log instead of apply plugin. So these are more Android specific things. We are not getting into much details over here. Our prime objective is to showcase and like package our Angular app into Android based app. So what deliberately stay Groovy and why? So the capacitor Cordova generates file. So these are certain files and the Cordova plugin remains Gradle. So capacitor read IDs on every sync and it will keep those files. So honest specification still cannot compile here. So it says that the JVM, no JVM in the environment. So I haven't run a Gradle sync. So Kotlin DSL is strict. So let me see how I can assist you to find JDK slash SDK as I do have Android Studio installed here on this PC. So let's see. I'm trying to facilitate Claude how I can assist it. So great if it bundles both a JDK and usually so I can probably locate them myself. Let me probe. So now as I've just directed it and it's going to see on its own to figure out if it is able to get hold of a JDK or SDK. So let's just see what happens. So you can see everything needed is installed and aligned. So it got the JDK 21 which was required. Then SDK platform is also being there. So I can actually verify the Kotlin DSL build now. You don't need to now what it's have said. Let me just quickly go above. You don't need to do anything. So it's very good. Like our AI assistance tool, as, as we have just given the direction to it, so it says that it can do and figure out the things on its own. I just need to point Gradle to the at SDK via local properties and run the wrapper with the JDK creating it. So it's creating a local properties file. You will see to that, and you can see there are like bunch of files being created. So those things we will be quickly adding. So you can see this once we have directed it, so it's going to figure it out, and local properties have been created. So let me just go to the local properties, figure out what is going to, if I can search. Okay, so created it. It's ignored by capacitor, machine local. Okay, so it's machine local only. So now retest a full debug build with a JBR JDK. So let's see what it's going to do. So command is running in background. So you have already assisted just by having installed. I found everything I needed automatically. So no manual steps from you. So you can see just having certain software install, it helps. So what it does, it writes to this point this, if anything. So first run pull down the Gradle information in it. So it will take a few minutes. I'll report back as soon as it's finishes. So it seems like something is running behind the scene. So let's see. Output is to stream to Android build. So I'm awaiting on this, and let's see what's going to happen. So it's taking a while. So I'm just awaiting when it's going to respond back to me. So in the meantime, let me see if I can figure out something for the next thing. So let me just go to this, and so build our Angular app for production. So as it's already trying for testing the build, so I have to wait because Gradle usually take a heavy load. So let's see. For the next thing, so I'm still awaiting. This build is going to get created. So it will take a while, and it's going to report back to us. And if I can quickly see what they have generated. So capacitor config file have been generated. The package it have used is the capacitor, which is going to wrap our Angular app inside the Android, which we can host on the Play Store. And within the Git ignore what it have added a few files. These like build.gradle.kts, all these files are related to this creating this native Android build. Native in a sense like capacitor is going to wrap up our Angular app. So all the settings are there. I'm just quickly looking at this. So Gradle properties are going to be here. Uh, these are all Gradle. Gradle basically is a build system for Angular. So there are like so many files you can see, all are Android related. I'm not going into much detail because our objective is to focus on our Angular app. But the reason what I'm intending that I want to host this Angular app as a web application as well as I want it on my phone installed via the Play Store. So this is the reason I am using this capacitor. And thus then moving forward, what else? There are certain other capacitor builds. uh, it have created a main activity class, the simple main activity class, and certain png files have been created. So let's see if it have completed something or not. So let me do one thing. We can ask this and we can provide this prompt to over here, and let me check if build is your build completed. And I'm providing like one is the response to what it is actually doing in the background, and the second is that I want build our Angular app for production, sync it to the Capacitor Android project, and walk me through running it on my phone or an emulator. I want to see our existing app, wise reset backup running inside the native shell before we change anything. So this is what I'm approaching. So let me just try running and see how it responds. So let me see one more thing. If I can quickly see, just give me a minute. So, so it's asking me, so let me just ask. Okay, once it have done everything, so we'll be looking at all these details in a single go. So what it have done and for this production, what it have created. So so you can see it have created an emulator. Um, Let me just and let's see if it brings something. So you can see even it have used the emulator. Uh, if I can somehow move it because it's way stuck on the top. So you can see it have created the emulator. Never show this warning again. Uh, what else? So let me just okay. So this is the emulator which is it's running. Let me just clear all, and I want to actually add to show up. So it's waiting. So you can see even this emulator is being opened from this like VS Code. So I haven't opened Android Studio, and you can see our app is running over here. Let me just try moving it up and down. What else? You can see expense budget. One thing which I'm not able to see over here. Okay, so you can see the setting is there. If I can go to that, so you can see this login. If I can try logging in, and let me just use the default password, admin password, try signing in. So you can see the add button is enabled, and even the voice and this is being added. So let's try checking it out. So microphone access is denied because it might need to allow that. So I need to, once the app is there, so I need to do that. So let's just, instead of this, let me just close this. So what I need to do, let me see if I can figure out something else. So I can add that. And one thing, let's just quickly see, because this is inside the capacitor, the Android app. So let me just cancel that and try to go to the dashboard. So you can see our Angular app is over here inside this. And let me just move on top, and let's just see. So it's live and rendering. So what does it mean? We'll try to keep it over here, and we'll try to make it this way. If I can somehow get an always on top like thing. So display or settings. Okay, so it should not go back. So let me try to figure it out. So what it says, how your build work today. So let not this one. I need to go down over here. So it says it's live and rendering. So here's the proof from the emulator. Our actual Angular app is running inside the capacitor. So you can see this is the capacitor native shell. And the expense tracker, PKR currency, everything is showing up. So what just happened? The full run pipeline. So we have created the npx ng build. The production build bundle is being created inside this browser. Then what does it do? Npx cap sync like Android, copied the bundle into this, and then comes this Android app source main. So it has created that. Then the Gradle. So what it does it do? It's rebuild that app debug APK with a fresh asset, because we have moved to the Kotlin DSL build. So it has created that. Then it booted the emulator, and then it launched. So how to interact with it right now? The emulator window is open, click drag your mouse. So I can create all this. I have already testing your 3 hero features. So voice likely unavailable because not implemented in the Android system web view. This requires speech plugin. So you can see microphone access is not working. We might need to change this to use certain other features. So this is the reason it's not working. Even the reset scan is probably working, but we are not using it on our actual phone. So this is the reason it's not properly working, and likely this Google Auth is going to get blocked because on local host, we are not going to use it. Once we deploy it, then it's going to work. So we have tried running this. So to run it on your phone instead, I can do, and we can tap this. So we can use it using the debug, but I'm not going with that way. I will try to publish it on the Play Store, and then I'll try using it from there. So it have created the build. I have verified that it's working fine. So what we need to do now, the payoff, we isolated as a, so research the capacitor, then replace only the inside. So camera partition review must stay exactly as they are. So swap the native OCR. So that was one thing, because the OCR that we have used was the JS based one. Like if I can quickly show you in my local, let me just open that. So you can see over here, if I remove it, so the OCR within the, not the over here in the back. So this was using the local. Currently, I'm on my laptop. So if I would have been on my phone, so it might open the camera and then it could scan that. But over here, what we need to do, we might need to switch to the native OCR library. So rather than using the transact just JS, which we have previously used, we are going to swap that. So let me just go to that. Let me just go to VS Code. And what I'm suggesting over here to swap it up, and I'm going to use it inside the capacitor. So what we are suggesting, we now make sure now the payoff kernel, we isolated receipt behind a single method that returns raw text from image. I want to swap the transact. So this was the actual implementation which we have done. Transact JS is a library which allow us to scan the receipts in Angular. So now using this, we are going to swap this for a native on device OCR using the plugin or any ML kit. So now that we are in capacitor, better accuracy is still like free is still on device. So this is, and research the right capacitor. So that's what we are suggesting to our I would say the plot code, that we are suggesting this to swap this and then replace only inside our OCR method, because we already have that. So the camera parser and review, the screen must stay exactly as is. Propose the plugin and the change before making it to the latest build using Gradle instead of Groovy. So again, we have mentioned that. So let's see how it respond back to us. So it will take a while. So in the meantime, let me just quickly show you what I have achieved so far. So we have created an Angular based JSON Angular based application where we have created the modern and the latest version 21 using Angular version 21. We have created this app, and initially the build and the progress have been created using certain I would say features. I will quickly show you those who are along with me so they get an idea where what I'm talking about and how they can get an exact knowledge regarding this and how they can cope up if they want to learn it in entirety. So let me bring up that playlist over here. So at least you get to know what it is and how we are proceeding. So just wait for a while. Let me bring up the playlist. If I can grab this up over here. So you can see this is basically a playlist. If let's just let it open up. So you can see initially we have started with the Angular and signals. So that was the basic thing. Basically, when we are moving towards the new, I would say the Angular. So over here, the signals are the more important thing. So initially we have discussed and explained everything from a learning perspective. Then we move to the reactive form. Then we have like used lazy loading and the routing. And then what we have done, we have created HTTP client and those things. So with this, we eventually move towards the like I would say move toward the AI assisted development. So initially we have created a way of how we can do it, and then we moved over here. So let's resume back to what we were doing. Let me just close that. Where we are, let me just close this too. So allow this. Uh, Still taking time. So you can see over here, like still it's running. Let me just make it the same way. चल रहा है. So it's already creating that, and so let's just quickly see what it have done so far. And based on what we have asked, like before proposing anything, I need two things. What it's trying to ask from me: confirm the right plugin via research and see exactly how your research method like structure today, so I can propose. So it's going to read the OCR service which I have created previously. This was our service within the reset OCR. And what else? Let me check the camera actually passes into recognize. If we move forward, let me verify the plugin and it's doing certain thing on its own. So now it have read everything. So let's just quickly let it just complete first, and then we will discuss everything. So how you should OCR behave across your two deploy targets, native OCR plus GitHub. So hybrid native URL for accuracy, web keeps transact as fallback, both GitHub and working recognize. Remove transact entirely, but the giveaway when you lose receipt. No, I want to keep hybrid because I want it working on both. I would be using on web as well and on the mobile as well. So I will be keeping it hybrid. Let's see how it's going to work. So I'm allowing it. So it's still working, and let's see how it moves. So still it's working and it's taking its time. So let it just complete, and then we will be looking at. So it's still taking a while. So bear with me. So you can see it's rebuilding it. Let's see what happens. So it's moving further, and you can see again the app is relaunched. Um, it's still working, so it's taking a while. So one thing I might need to do, like let's just quickly go and try to see if this scan receipt is going to work. So it's no photo yet, and I do not have any camera available. So that's one thing. Let me just close this. For voice, it's using microphone access. So let's see, let it complete, and then we can review what it have done. So it have done. So what it says, it done and verified up to the functional boundary. So app launches cleanly on the emulator. So you can see right on the right side, we have our emulator and it's launched and with the ML Kit plugin. So you can see with this Claude code, it have quickly replaced what we have asked for. So instead of using our native OCR, it have used this ML Kit plugin. So no missing plugin, no JS crash. So what changed? Only the OCR insights. So what it have changed? So what it have done? Added capacitor.is native platform, and we will see to that exact code and OCR process with this data and public recognize. So these KTS files have been changed and variable Gradle.kts, and then what we have added over here. So when what we are going to quickly see over here and test it. So what verified, what isn't. So what it have verified, register the plugin, and so to close the loop, a 30-second manual check in the emulator, add scanner reset. So pick any image that has a simple photo, drag up into the emulator photo to add it into the gallery. Watch the result. So I'll see to that later. So want me to stream, and so no, I'm not going that way. So I'm going to move forward with the Play Store. So what I'm going to ask it, that walk me through setting the native identity, the package, the name, and the native icons, especially using our Kotlin portal. Tell me what icons, asset, and size it needs, and you can find the brand at public. So there used to be a public folder. If I can locate that, so let me just see that public and brand. So let me just go. if I can ask you to figure out this public one. So not know why it's not able to locate it. So instead I can figure out. Let me do one thing. Let me just drag the logo here, not this way. Now let me just, it will figure out the path on its own. I'm going to just give it the name find at the rate logo dot jpg. So you can see it is able to find that. Let me just provide it to this. I'm not just going to do further. One thing regarding the listing, so let me just bring that prompt as well. Because I already have a account, so let me just say to it. So I'm going to use this now. So let me just copy this, and once it's done, then I'll be using this prompt. The reason is that it have created capacitor OCR have been integrated using that ML library. And what else we need to see? So I'm going to figure out how it can push it on the Play Store. So this is my prime purpose is, let me just, once it's done, then I'll be bringing in that prompt and might be adding certain other things based on what is being required. So just wait for a while. So it's still working. So it have written certain thing. I'm anticipating it will take a while to get it done. So still certain things are showing up. So wait for a while and bear with me. So I'm keeping it over here. So it's asking a question. So what art should be the app icon? Emblem only recommended, full text. So I'm only going with the emblem, which it doesn't need to have the text. So I'm going to submit that. It is going to crop on its own, and then it's going to create that. So with that, let's just quickly see how it's going to work. So in the meantime, let's just quickly see what it have provided. So what sort of feedback it have. So what it says, like good, no image magic, and sharp is in this project. So there's a find the mod capacitors generation. So installing it give us the, so identity already set by cap in it, nothing to change. Both pieces you asked about in the, so identity is already set, which I've already mentioned, like com.ckc expense tracker, and then the expense tracker name is there. FID is locked for the Play Store. Won't change it. The display is free to change. What actually need for icon, your sizes. So it is going to provide that. Need for the splash. So that is again being provided. Then comes the pipeline, the capacitor assets. So instead of hand cutting 20, this tool generate all of the hour from a new source. So it has created those. Then comes the logo or background, which we are creating for the theme. So one decision before I generate. So it's asking something. Let me just go and see what it has been asking. So I already said that we are going with the emblem. What else? So I'm allowing that. Allowing this too. So it's still working and still it's taking a while. So I'm still awaiting because it's generating certain resources. So because we are going to, if I can quickly show you, this is the last one which we are going to add it over to this. So you can see it have used an icon, a splash screen, and it have been created. So it's taking a while. So I'm stopping the system for a while. So let me just stop this.